Okay, I'm here to talk about what Xbox is trying to do now, or Microsoft is really trying to do, which is consolidate their gaming department back into their PC components compartment. Um, in general, I don't think that this is something they're doing out of want. I think they're doing this out of necessity. They failed to compete against the PlayStation this generation and last generation. Their their stock when it comes to gaming is not that fantastic. Their stock in general is just fine because of their AI implementations, as well as just Microsoft as an operating system. Well, Windows as an operating system, I should say, just being the go-to for business applications and in production environments. It just seems as though that they're cutting their losses when it comes to their gaming division and kind of moving everything over into AI, as well as just their general compute and server infrastructure with Project Helix. Even though it doesn't seem like it at first, what I really think that they're doing is they're really just sticking to their bread and butter. They're good at making computer systems. They're good at working with computer systems, both with their Surface laptops and tablets, and with their operating system in general, even though it's not as lightweight as it used to be and not as secure as it used to be, and all of the issues with data aggregation and tracking, spying, and spoofing that keeps going on with Microsoft and Copilot and what have you, and things training AI through the use of opt in or opt out settings. Truth be told, Microsoft's just trying to stick with their bread and butter. They're good at computers, they're good at operating systems, they're going to stick with that, and that's why they're kind of moving away from the Xbox brand as we know it and kind of moving Xbox into what I think should be, in my opinion, a refresh to Project Helix or Helix in general. Just be Microsoft Helix and, and get rid of the Xbox brand, get rid of the negative press that they built after the Xbox 360, from the DRM situations to not even owning any of the game on your disc whatsoever. It's too much going on and too much bad press. They just need to wipe the slate clean, which is what I think they're doing with Project Helix. And similar to the video I made with the Steam Deck, I think it's important to realize what the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine, I should have said not Steam Deck, but the Steam Machine is doing is bringing Linux into households that normally wouldn't have Linux, getting people used to lightweight operating systems and operating systems that promote open source software and the limitations of tracking and data aggregation and almost the non-existence of AI capabilities unless you want to implement it yourself. So it's more of a you are opting in versus opting out. What I think Xbox is really going to benefit in the long run would be people are already transitioning to PCs anyway for gaming just because games are cheaper when you're on the PC platform through Steam, Epic Game Store, GOG or GOG. You know, the games are usually on discounts a whole lot more than in brick and mortar stores, unless of course you're in an area where for some reason they have games pretty cheap in brick and mortar stores. Where I live on the East Coast, it's not really like that, but I digress. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to work with the ecosystem that they know works. Pre-builts are becoming more and more popular now that the AI boom is still booming, even though it's the you the bubble should be kind of not popping but deflating a little bit now that things are getting a little bit better due to Google kind of enhancing token compression and kind of making AI a little bit less expensive, both with memory and with component usage, just in general, like power draw and power usage. So I think what we're going to see, even though they have like a lot of people speculating on the specs of the machine, I don't think that's really important. What I think is important is the fact that Xbox is going to be coming out with a computer system primarily that can play console games, not the way that most people are thinking, but in the way of their compatibility layer with the Xbox app, um, which brings into question what they're doing currently with the Xbox mode. So the full screen experience that they're kind of implementing into Windows as we speak, this is going to be coming in the near future. The Xbox mode being more of a game targeted uh, interface, similar to like if you pull up the game bar in Windows now. They're just going to be pretty much focusing on what they produced with the Xbox ROG Ally X, and then just making it a desktop interface, similar to how Steam Deck, well, Steam Valve went from the Steam Deck to the Steam Machine. Xbox is just following the same playbook. It makes sense. It's smart. It's going to work because it's still a computer, and most people would prefer to have a computer that can game rather than a game system that can kind of do computer things. So it's going to work. To me, I feel as though that's what Project Helix is going to be about. It's going to be the Xbox full screen experience with their Project Helix compatible games. And whenever you're trying to play your back catalog, instead of doing it by putting a disc into the pre-built computer that I'm expecting Project Helix to be, you're just going to do the Xbox Play Anywhere type of deal. So if you buy something on your Series X, or you have an old game from Xbox One, it'll pretty much be tied to your account through the DRM that they kind of have set up with Xbox Play Anywhere, and you'll just be able to access that game if it's available within that wrapper of compatibility on your pre-built PC through the Xbox app, through which they should change it to like the Helix app. And that's how I'm seeing Project Helix to be. So I'm looking at it that way. So there is positives to come from this other than just it being a pre-built PC, because it is going to be specific to that hardware, and they'll be able to target games. Developers will be able to develop games targeted for a strict set of hardware. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be customizable. It's just going to be a standalone pre-built, similar to a console, but obviously you'll probably be able to upgrade memory and RAM and things like that. But other than that, your main components, your CPU and GPU, are going to be, in my opinion, soldered to the board. So you won't be able to change that much, and everything will be kind of tied in that way. But looking at it with them improving FSR, because they'll then just be on Zen 6 CPUs, which will probably be between 5 and 6 gigahertz of performance. And they'll have the architecture of RDNA 5, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll be able to do more path tracing and really focus in on efficiency when it comes to the machine learning and algorithms such like that, to be able to compete with DLSS in a meaningful way. Because AMD is really improving, especially now that they're getting a lot of funding and a lot of investment from outside influences. I'm not going to get into all the political aspects of it, but they'll be able to kind of compete due to the fact that most of the major companies are actually working with each other now, because it just makes sense to, or not necessarily working with each other, but they're not refraining from letting each other kind of copy their homework, so to speak. But yeah, so they're going to be improving FSR. They're going to be improving multi-frame generation, which actually did benefit a lot of games. Even though it did implement input lag, it still was beneficial for a majority of games, especially if you're not playing anything esports ready. If you're playing single player games, story games, you'll be fine. just the fact that you'll have RDNA architecture, you'll have uh, Zen 6 processors that are high clock speeds, a high amount of memory bandwidth, due to the fact that you're going to need it for the AI computation that's going to be in these machines that games nowadays really need to run, because everything is working off of Unreal Engine 5 and the taxing amount of resources that Unreal Engine 5 needs in order to function. We're going to have a pretty strong and beefy system to kind of keep everything flowing normal. Again, targeting 4K 60 FPS. I think in this case it'll probably be closer to 4K 120 FPS, which is what most people want anyway. And it'll be able to hold that steady with a majority of the Xbox Helix games, just based off of the uh, hardware specifications that you can see here. Again, these are speculations, but the fact that this isn't too far fetched based off of how the whole ecosystem is going, and how gaming is currently, especially with Nvidia and what they're doing in AMD pretty much following suit. You're going to need this type of performance to run these games. So it's not going to be too far fetched to expect this. But again, the only thing that I would notice will be different is the fact that they're trying to allow you to have multiple storefronts. Like I said, for the first time, an Xbox console will natively support games from both the Xbox ecosystem and third-party PC storefronts. Again, I'm looking at it as Xbox Play Anywhere through the probably the new and improved Helix app instead of the Xbox app, and then being able to load in Steam and Epic Games that way. I know Epic Games already confirmed that they're integrated into um, Xbox Helix pretty tightly. So that's already done and dusted. Steam, they some people have said that uh, prior Xbox higher ups stated that Steam will be integrated in as well, and you'll be able to download and launch Steam games through the service. That remains to be seen how they're going to incorporate it. But again, I really think it's just going to be an pretty much a Xbox branded mini PC of some sort, or not even a mini PC, maybe a mid tower desktop. But it's pretty much going to be, the reason why I say mini PCs, because everything's pretty much going to be soldered on board. You know, nothing's really going to be able to be removed other than maybe RAM. But even then, I doubt it. They'll probably be soldered on as well. So your CPU, GPU, and RAM will be soldered on. I think the only thing that you'll be able to upgrade is storage, which just makes sense. But other than that, yeah, I still am excited for it. I'm still excited to have a system that is primarily focused for gaming, and encompasses gaming very well, because Windows has kind of been lacking when it comes to game support. So an improved game support system on the Windows wrapper, right? That is a win-win for gamers, in my opinion, because you'll pretty much have the best of both worlds. You'll have your Xbox loyalists to be able to still continue to play a majority of their games through the Xbox Play Anywhere app, or that Play Anywhere wrapper, and then be able to kick into full-fledged Windows to do work or school, other related tasks, anything like that. So it really becomes an all-in-one machine, similar to the Steam machine, but just at a higher price point and a higher performance class. So to me, it just seems like right now in 2026, a lot of things are gearing towards being, instead of focused machines, being all-in-one machines that kind of do a little bit of everything, somewhat at a high price. But once you buy it, you're going to be solidified in having something decent and something targeted for your machine for a long period of time. So you don't really have to worry about the upgrade cycles, the vicious upgrade cycles every 3 to 4 years. Even though they're still going to be around, your device will kind of hold more weight because it'll be supported for up to a decade since release. And to me, especially today's climate, anything that can stretch you a decade of investment and enjoyment into is worth it, in my opinion. So again, it's just something interesting for me. Maybe for you, it's interesting as well. Hopefully, you can kind of leave some comments in the comment section below about what you think is going to be the implementation of Xbox games with the Xbox Helix. How do you think it's going to stack up with the Steam machine when it comes to performance, as well as the uh, something that I didn't mention, the PlayStation 6 and what's going on with that situation. That's another video I'm going to really talk about, is what is projected with the PlayStation 6, and do you think with Xbox pretty much making a PC, do you really think that there's competition with PlayStation anymore, or you think it's more competition with uh, builders like boutique builders like your I would say like Origin PCs, Falcon Northwest, things like that? Or do you think it's more of a entry level pre-built like HP Victus, HP Omen, and Alienware desktops? But yeah, thank you for listening and have a good one.